In February of 2019, the sports world held its breath as Duke basketball and now New Orleans Pelicans phenom Zion Williamson suffered a freak knee injury after his right sneaker exploded on the court during a match with UNC Chapel Hill. Fortunately for Zion, the injury proved minor, and he was back on the court in little over a month. Unfortunately, the same is not always the case for other college basketball players, many of whom have had their careers ended prematurely during their freshman year of college, a year in which they put their bodies, future finances, and dreams of a pro career on the line while they wait to turn 19, the age required to declare for the NBA draft. This conundrum stems from a 2005 NBA rule change, which raised the age required to enter the NBA draft by 1 year, from 18 to 19, effectively ending the era of supremely talented high school players such as LeBron James, Kobe Bryant, and Kevin Garnett declaring for the draft out of high school, and instead burdening high school talents with having to play an additional year of basketball in college. This arbitrary decision, devoid of any logic or reason, not only does a disservice to high school basketball players, but also to the institutions at which it seeks to protect. Because of this, I'm strongly advocating for the NBA to reverse its decision and lower the draft age back to 18 years old. I'm arguing this for a number of reasons, the first of which is that elite players should not be forced to delay their basketball careers. If an 18-year-old is good enough to play in the NBA, they should be allowed to do so immediately, not have to play 1 year of college for essentially no reason, when we already know that their talent is good enough to get them into the league. This would help players and the institutions of the NBA and college basketball in a number of ways. Most importantly, it would help players because it would guarantee them immediate financial security. According to Bleacher Report, over 40% of professional basketball players come from below the poverty line. Many of them have families who are depending on their basketball career or their prospect of a basketball career in order to get them out of poverty. Lowering the draft age from 19 to 18 would allow many players from those backgrounds to be able to do so more quickly to more of an extent that they can do than with current NIL rules in college. For instance, LeBron James, Kevin Garnett, Jimmy Butler, and others grew up in poverty, and many of those players, such as LeBron and Kevin Garnett, were able to raise their families out of poverty 1 year sooner because they were able to go from high school straight to the NBA. Additionally, NBA rookie contracts are guaranteed. An entrance into the league means that they are completely allowed by the letter of the law to chase endorsements, investments, retirement savings, go into the NBA's healthcare plans, benefits such as that they wouldn't be getting in college and that they wouldn't be getting necessarily with NIL money, which is not guaranteed and usually comes with many stipulations and is not as all-inclusive and comprehensive as what they would be getting going into the league, where they not only have guaranteed contracts, but they also have a union and a comprehensive bargaining agreement. The second reason why we would lower the draft age is because it eliminates unnecessary injury risk for players. Every additional amateur season of basketball exposes players to injuries before they can even start to earn professional money and professional paychecks. For instance, we've seen ACL tears in college. We've seen Achilles injuries in college, stress fractures just from the practice, things like that. Additionally, we've also seen things like broken legs. If you remember, there was one specific instance in the 2013 NBA basketball championship in which a player broke their leg in college and it effectively ended their dream of a pro career. So instead of having these players risk not only their bodies, but potentially millions of dollars while waiting to go into the NBA, we're advocating that we lower that draft age and we allow them to go straight after high school as soon as possible if they have the ability to. Both of these arguments, you might say, well, there's NIL money in college now, right? So they're going to be earning NIL. What's so bad about making them play an extra year? They'll be making a little bit of money anyways. Well, sure, they can make NIL money, but that doesn't replace the benefits of the NBA, like we've said before. That doesn't replace guaranteed NBA contracts that have to be paid out by the letter of the law. It doesn't replace NBA coaching, which takes into account things like injury risk to much more of an extent than college coaching, in which you're going through different players every year or every 4 years at most. You have NBA development, NBA players vest themselves into a pension that they get once their playing career is over. They have healthcare benefits, and they have experience and mentorship from older players on the team. So a talented athlete that's able to go from high school to the NBA or even the NBA G League developmental league, they're going to be benefiting a lot more from those institutional benefits as well as from the money than they would be going to college, where many of these NIL deals are not guaranteed, and you even have schools that are suing players for transferring, for getting injured and not playing all of the games that they were, supposedly contractually bound to play with NIL deals and things such as that. So NIL does not solve for the problem that lowering the draft age would solve for. And even if it does solve some aspects, like players can get paid even substantial sums of money, it's not as guaranteed as the NBA. The second major argument that we have is that lowering the draft age not only benefits players, but it benefits the institutions of the NBA and of college basketball. We've already went over why it benefits players. Now let's go over why it benefits basketball development. Well, when you have these elite prospects coming from high school into the NBA, they're going to play against elite competition, and they're going to become even better players, and they're going to develop even faster. You look at a player like Kobe Bryant or a player like LeBron James, Kevin Garnett. They wouldn't have been the superstars they were if they were not allowed to go to the NBA as soon as possible and develop those talents. They wouldn't have been developed the same way in college. College basketball is a different game. It's more team-centric, less star-centric. So those top talents that really could benefit from going straight to the NBA or straight to NBA coaching, they're not benefiting. And that's hurting the game of basketball as a whole because it's limiting the development of some of basketball's top players. So it would benefit the game of basketball in that way. It would benefit the NBA because they get young stars earlier. These stars would have longer careers. They'd be more marketable, and it'd be better storytelling. You look at some of the best stories in the NBA. You have LeBron coming straight in from high school. You have Kobe Bryant. You even have Ray Allen, who didn't go straight from high school, but you got the movie He Got Game, where that was a great story to tell, a high school prospect going, potentially straight to the NBA. So the NBA would benefit in that way. Additionally, college basketball would benefit. As we said, college basketball is more team-based. It's based on the chemistry and the connection between the players and the coach. So the teams would have better chemistry, even if they have maybe lesser talented players or slightly less talented players. The team chemistry as a whole would be better, which means that the players that do play college basketball would benefit from that as well. And instead of having all of these players that play 1 year in college and then they're one and done, you would have players that play 2, 3, 4, maybe even 5 years in college, and then they get better developed. And even if they had less talent originally, they'll develop that talent in college basketball, and then they could make it to the NBA at a later period. And then the last argument that we have of why we should lower this draft age is simply autonomy. It's about freedom of choice. When you turn 18 in America, you're an adult. And if you're an adult, you should be able to make adult decisions and do adult things. You can vote, you can join the military, you can sign legal contracts, you can get married, take out loans, get charged in court as an adult. So if you can do all these things as an adult at 18 years old, you can make the decision to join the military and potentially go to a foreign war. Why can't you make the decision that you want to play sports professionally? Especially when so many other sports, you can go professional even earlier than 18. So this would bring the NBA in line with many other sports. It would bring it in line with American society, and it would give high school athletes more maturity, more responsibility, and more respect as the athletes, adults, and potentially professionals that they are. And the last point that we have is that we've done this before. The draft age has not always been 19, it's been 18 before, and it's worked. So there's no reason to arbitrarily lower it and keep restricting players' talents and legal adults from pursuing the game they love professionally. And for all of these reasons, I would urge the NBA to reverse this decision and bring the draft age back down to 18 from 19. Thank you very much.